So The Empire Strikes Back in the Star Wars saga is a huge fan favorite. I'm talking like an overwhelming 5 out of 5 star score for the majority of people on Letterboxd. And this is basically the one that gets most talked about in the entire saga of Star Wars. This is including all the TV shows and video games and books, etc. So, as before, this is a film that I hadn't seen in a long time because although I can say I grew up with the Star Wars movies, like I've watched them when I was really young, and they've been in my life forever. Really, I just like I said in the last video, I've never fallen in love with Star Wars like other people have, and grew a passion for it like other people have. But I've always liked and enjoyed this movie, and just like watching A New Hope again for the first time in a long time, this one I very much enjoyed again. Not on a 5 out of 5 level, but on definitely on a 4.5 out of 5 level. Because, I can't deny the brilliance of a film like this, especially for its time. This one came out in 1980. This was directed by somebody else other than George Lucas. I forget his name. I will put it down here for the post editing. And yeah, it was a cool film. This one upped the scale for sure. Mostly, I'm gonna say in the lightsaber battles, as I described that battle between Obi-Wan and Vader in A New Hope, just came across as weak especially for a spectacle battle like that. But this one just really elevates everything with the lightsaber battles, with the gun battles, with all the creatures and droids and bots and everything else that they add to the movie to expand the story and the spectacle of it all. The thing that that bugs me with Star Wars, and it does other series too, even Lord of the Rings. I mentioned, I've always been a Lord of the Rings guy over Star Wars. But when it comes to these epically scaled films, there's so much lore to everything, and there's so many creatures and so many bots and so many names in the Star Wars universe that a lot of them aren't even mentioned in the film. And I'm like, I wonder if there was like some kind of glossary or appendix or something like that was written for the movies where all these creatures are named. Like, they never mentioned Wonka or Wampa, sorry, the creatures on the ice planet of Hoth. Though they never say the name Wampa in the movie unless I missed it, but I was looking for it, so I never heard them mention Wampa before. Never heard them mention Tauntaun before. Never heard them mention AT-AT walkers before. So I had to Google all this stuff. I had to go on Wikipedia and find out the names of these things because I know what they are. I've seen them in the movies growing up. I know them by sight, but I don't know any of them by name. That shows how much of a huge Star Wars fan I am. I have to look up the names of most things, obviously, not everything, but a lot of the things that I'm discovering the name of for the first time, including the planets. But anyways, like last video, I'm just gonna really briefly skim through the story because everybody knows it. The Emperor, after the destruction of the Death Star, starts to basically search the galaxy for Princess Leia and where her rebel team might be. They're currently located in the ice planet of Hoth, as I mentioned. Luke gets captured by the Wampas, which are these like Yeti-looking creatures. He escapes from them. Han Solo is able to find him and rescue him by putting him in the inside of a dead Tauntaun that he was riding, which basically looks like a camel almost, but more alien. And I always found that scene disgusting, especially when I was a little kid and I watched it for the first time. The insides of it looked like jellyish maggots, and it just really haunted me as a kid. I couldn't even look at the screen because it was so disgusting the way the guts would pour out of that thing. But yeah, that image always haunted me growing up. And I'm sure it did a lot of kids, I'm assuming. But it for like a semi-family friendly kind of movie, I'm sure that scene was quite intense. But then the ice planet starts to, and the rebel crew run by Leia and C-3PO, they all get attacked by those AT walkers, which I labeled them as four-legged gun robots, because this is before I started looking everything up. Leia and Han Solo are able to escape in the Millennium Falcon, but the hyperspeed or light speed function starts to malfunction, and they get stuck in an asteroid belt before making it to the planet Bespin, which they land in Cloud City, and this is where we meet a new character and also a fan favorite character named Lando Calrissian. I had totally forgot about the lore and the type of character this guy was, because I know he shows up in the next movie, I'm pretty sure, but I never, like, I totally forgot where his character kind of personality and what kind of character he was, so he was semi new to me while watching. He was familiar, but I like his story and his reason for being there was kind of new. I totally forgot about the double cross that he does on purpose, but like for a reason. He doesn't actually end up being a villain. But this is all while Luke and R2D2. I love R2D2's character. I mean, for a piece of metal that just beeps the whole time, R2D2 has such a personality, which shows George Lucas's writing skills and ideas, how he can make or how he can create, a little tiny wandering robot have so much personality. It's really cool. That goes for a lot of the characters and the personalities of a lot of the characters too. Obviously, C-3PO is able to talk, so he has a little bit more to do. But R2, just like I said, his whole communication is just beeping. He still has such a huge personality to him. But yeah, R2 and then Luke go to the planet Dagobah. Planet Dagobah, where Yoda is located. And I love Yoda as a practical effect puppet. I mean, the way he talks and his facial expressions are perfect for the time. I love how all the creatures, as I mentioned already, are built and actual practical creatures, albeit a lot of CGI being added to the movies when they were re-released in the 90s. But lo and behold, it still holds the merit it had back in the day when it came out. And I will mention again that I would love to see this original trilogy in theaters or something like that in their original formats and original cuts, so I can see it as it was experienced in the 70s and the 80s. That would be really cool. I also recently found out, I should have known this already, but the voice of Yoda, Frank Oz, also did a lot of Sesame Street characters, including Grover, Bert, and Cookie Monster. And he did a bunch of other Muppet voices too, but the guy was really good with voices. And I should have known that already. I was listening to Yoda and I'm like, I'm sure I know this guy. This voice sounds so familiar. And then looking it up, and me being a massive Sesame Street fan when I was a child, that was my Star Wars. Like, take the biggest Star Wars fan, and that's how I felt to Sesame Street when I was, 6 and under. But yeah, Yoda's cool. I love his whole training process on the planet. I love the quotes and the metaphors on how they treat the Force as if it's a religion, and the dark side and the light side and everything. And I love how Yoda refers to the dark side of the Force as seductive, much more seductive than the light side. It's a good choice of words, seductive. I liked the way Yoda put that. And Luke leaves midway training because he gets a premonition to go save Leia and Han Solo on the planet Dagobah. No, not on the planet Dagobah, on the planet Bespin, sorry. And the whole battle sequence on that planet, it's probably like an hour long, and it's all so mesmerizing. It's so intense and so well done. Obviously, you can tell it's dated now just because of when it came out, but it holds it's timeless. It really is. It still holds its entertainment value more than so many movies that came out in 1980. And with a different director too, George Lucas not being in the director's chair, this director had a huge, huge shoes to fill, really, and he succeeded big time. So that's friggin' awesome. We get the introduction of Boba Fett, and we get Han Solo being frozen into carbonite because Vader wanted to test Han Solo before putting Luke in the carbonite. Just he wanted to test it on Han Solo to see if it like worked. I found that a little bit darkly funny. How he just uses Han as like an experiment kind of thing. But Boba Fett obviously uses this to take Han back to Jabba the Hutt because Han apparently owes a shit ton of whatever the currency is in this world to Jabba the Hutt. But Cloud City, like I said, looks great. All the battles look great, and then you got the epic battle between Luke and Vader, which holds up today really, really well. And it's one of the aspects of this movie that I can definitely see always being timeless. And of course, the twist. No, I am your father, and that is the line because I know everybody's on the not well kind of conspiracy, but the Mandela effect where people think he says Luke, I am your father, but he does not. He says no, I am your father. And unless that was changed in the new versions and was never in the original version, but I don't think it was because I'm pretty sure that they've already shown that in the original script it said no, I'm your father, but could be mistaken. When Luke falls too, he gets his hand sabered off, and then he's holding onto that railing, and Vader says, "No, I'm your father," and then he starts, freaking out, and then he drops, and he drops in a way, especially when he gets closer to the bottom of that shaft, where he goes into this like slide thing, but he kind of floats into it. Now, it is an air shaft, so he could have been sucked into it, but just the way his body's moving, I'm wondering if he used the Force during that fall to protect himself. Because he already started to get a little bit used to the Force, not a Jedi Master level of used to, but enough to grab a lightsaber to save himself from those Wampas, and enough to do some stuff on the planet. I keep wanting to say Deborah. Dagobah. Dagobah. So he already has some of the Force knowledge, so I wonder if he used a little bit of the Force on that fall. It just looked like it. The way he was falling didn't seem natural, so I wonder if he could have possibly used a little bit of the Force. I love how Leia and Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon land into a giant tremor-like worm's mouth and body and go inside, and they think they're on a planet, and they come out of the ship, but then they realize that they go out of it, and then they realize, and the audience realizes that they're in like a worm creature's mouth. Totally reminded me of Tremors, that worm, by the way. Hint, I'm going to be reviewing the Tremors franchise as well. Shh, don't tell anybody. I just ordered the franchise, and I'm going to be reviewing those too. And those are all going to be first-time watches. That's for another video, though. We're talking about Star Wars. Damn it, Dexter. And then they happen to escape Cloud City, but then they get a premonition that Luke had made it to Cloud City and fought Vader and everything, so they turn around and go rescue him, and then almost get captured again before rescuing Luke and going off to the Rebel fleet, and they're able to fix Luke's hand, or put some kind of robotic hand onto him, or whatever they do, and then Chewie and Lando, who we come to realize did that whole double-crossing thing, like I said, on purpose, knowing that Luke was going to come to everybody's aid. And then they go off to find Han Solo, and we're left on a cliffhanger till the next film, Return of the Jedi. So, one thing I wrote down here too, the best thing about these movies that I'm experiencing, like rewatching them, is how much George Lucas and the writers, I don't know if these were just written by George Lucas, but I'll have to look that up to make 100% sure. But George Lucas has a huge knack for stretching out little tiny occurrences and events, because when you really sum up this movie, there's not a lot going on. The ice planet where the rebellions are attacked, Leia and Han escape, Luke goes to train with Yoda, and then they all gather on Cloud City and then have a huge battle there. And then Luke and Vader fight, and then they're all able to get onto the Rebel fleet, and they decide, or two of them decide to go save Han. So there's not a massive amount of storytelling going on. But George Lucas has such a genius talent to stretch out these these small stories into such visual appeal and have so much going on that you're never really missing a beat. There's no point in any of these films that, from what I remember to what I'm re-experiencing now, that drag ever. Nothing in these films drag. Everything is always entertaining. Everything is always visually appealing and always keeping your attention, and that's really hard to do. And then when you have, like I said, a simple story that at its core that all these visual aesthetics are surrounding, and you can keep the audience's attention and make a film so timeless and so legendary as Star Wars, that takes some massive talent. So I give credit where credit is due, and George Lucas is certainly a genius for what he's done with this. Who can forget the Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker kiss, knowing where that's heading and knowing where the twist is going? I really wonder if they, while they were writing The Empire Strikes Back, if they already knew that they were going to make them brother and sister. I hope not. But that's funny, you know, seeing that and knowing where the plot is being driven to. And I have to say, I really find the Vader's Force murders, when he uses the Force to choke people out, even through screens when they're not even in the same location, the way the people die when they get like Force killed, like they just fucking fall over in the funniest expressions. I always laugh every single time Vader kills somebody using the Force. It's just so fucking funny. Yeah, so that's really all I got for episode 5. Again, it's a movie that I can appreciate more than I can like adore. Like I'm not gonna be fucking watching these movies back to back, like, you know, as soon as it ends replaying it again. I'm not gonna be watching them daily. But I mean they're films I'll revisit for sure. I mean, my love for them could grow in the future as I watch them, because it already is. Like, I'm appreciating them more than I ever did. Everybody's different. Everybody falls in love with different things, and not taking any of the credit away from Star Wars whatsoever. Yeah, they're genius films, as they should be. And just like A New Hope, I give The Empire Strikes Back a 4.5 out of 5. And I think it's a really, really classic, really epic film. So that's what I got on that. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care and cheers.